Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Identify yourself as you come into the building. Identify yourself as you come into the building. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day on today. Identify yourself as you come in the building. Press that like, press that share button as we're going to get started on tonight for another edition of Marriage is Not for Everyone. Thanks for everybody joining us on tonight. Press that like, press that share button. Let somebody know that we are in the building on tonight. Let them know that we're about to have a great time. Identify yourself as you come into the building. I want to say hey to everyone. Miss Jackson, how you doing? Hope all is well to you. Hope all is well to you. Hope all is well to you. Thank you for coming into the building on tonight. Pray that everyone had a great day, a great weekend. Hey, Miss Hamilton. Hey, Miss Hamilton. Hey, Miss Hamilton. Hope you had a great weekend, a great time. Press that like, press that share button. You're at the right place at the right time. It's going to have an outstanding time. Once again, marriage is not for everyone. This is a presentation about marriage relationships, single, married, dating, divorce, whatever relationship status you are in. This teaching is applicable for you. It is your first time coming in the building. Identify yourself. Press that like, press that share button. Let people know that we're online right now and that we're going to have a great time. This is an open forum, open format. And every time that we're on, we learn something different and we also engage in the format. This is a great time that you will have on today. I pray that everyone had a great week. I pray that everyone has been blessed. If you have not read this book that I written, Marriage is Not for Everyone, you can grab a copy on www.kkhbooks.com, www.kkhbooks.com. It is an amazing book that's helping a lot of people. And I've been led within the last month or two to focus on marriage and relationships. There are many marriage relationships that are going through tumultuous seasons, but I believe by faith that God is able to restore and to heal. And even if you've lost your marriage, I believe by faith that God can bring you better if you refuse to be bitter. So I thank you on tonight for doing that. And on tonight, before we get started, I ask you to press that like, press that share button, let somebody know that we're on, that we're in the building. And we're going to have a great time tonight. Continue to identify yourself. You come in the building. Miss Herring, good to see you on tonight. Good to see you on tonight. I want to give a couple more people a chance to get on before we get started. Good to see you on tonight. Yeah, marriage is not for everyone. www.kkhbooks.com. It's going to be a great time tonight. So before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the video, give you a commercial, give you a peek of what Marriage is Not for Everyone is, to give you a type of salivation about this book. And then after that, we're going to get into the teaching on tonight. And I pray that it blesses you. Marriage is not for everyone.
Did you know that over 50% of marriages start at the altar but end up in the courtroom? Hi, my name is Casey Hamilton, the author of Marriage is Not for Everyone. In this book, I detail that some people should stay single, others should get married, and some people should never get married again. Please grab a copy of this book. I would rather for you to spend $10 on this book than spend $10,000 on alimony.
Marriage is not for everyone. Thank you for everyone that's jumping in on tonight. Good evening as I see y'all coming in. Identify yourselves. Good evening on tonight. Good evening, Miss Scott. Good evening, Mr. Walker. Good evening, Miss Rue. If y'all don't mind at this time, press that like, press that share button. Let somebody know that we are on Marriage is Not for Everyone, which is an open forum format where we teach about the principle dealing with marriage and relationships. This teaching is applicable to everyone. Do not think that it does not apply to you, but this teaching deals with every spectrum of relationship. If you're married, if you're single, if you're divorced, or if you're seeking marriage, or you don't want to get married again, this relationship book is for you. So I want to make sure on tonight that everyone gets a portion of that. Also, too, this is an open format, which means you can ask questions, you can comment, you can engage. That's what we want you to do. We want everybody to be in tune to the teaching on tonight, because we want everyone to come to a sense of clarity, understanding, but most important, of mental, spiritual, and emotional healing. There's some people that need to be healed from past relationships. There's some people who need wisdom to seek new relationships. There are some people right now who are working on themselves to become engaged in relationships. We want to make sure that once this presentation is done, that everyone is connected to that. Good evening, Brother Tavares. Good evening, Miss Lovely and Confident. Let's go ahead and get going. If y'all don't mind, press that like, press that share button, tag somebody right now. Put some names in the comments. Let them know that we're online right now. Let's get this party on the road. First and foremost, what is the premise of this book? The premise of this book is simply what it says. Marriage is not for everyone. There's somebody who's watching tonight. There's somebody who also that is looking tonight. If you're single right now, you have to ask yourself, is the institution of marriage even for me? Is this something that I want to embark upon? Is this something that I want to do? Is this something that God is leading me to? Because marriage is not for everyone. You have to have a temperament. You have to have the mentality. You have to have the emotional will and sacrifice to be able to stay engaged in a marriage. So my thesis of this book, the premise is this. Before you get married, you got to ask yourself, even if I am marriage material. You're taking notes at the bottom of the screen before we get into the good meat of it. About 90% of people in the Western cultures may marry by the age of 50. In the United States, about 50% of married couples divorce, the sixth highest rate in the world. Around 45% divorce rate in America. So in no uncertain terms, the premise is that most marriages, half of them end in the divorce court. As I put in the book, most marriages start at the altar, but then they end in the divorce court. Why is that? I would like to suggest on tonight that many people are ill-equipped about the reality of what they're getting into once they get married. Therefore, they get into marriage with a naive lens, a fantasy lens that's not real and applicable. So this book gets us the meats and the bolts of reality of, before I get married, am I willing to ask critical questions? Am I willing to do the homework? Am I willing to engage in a autopsy of myself? Am I willing to look at it from that lens? Let's get it going and popping like we do every week. In the comment section, I need you to put your relationship status in the comment section. Put your relationship status on tonight. We have single, married, divorced. What relationship status we have on tonight? Put it in the comment section on tonight. This is going to be for everybody. I want everybody to put their relationship status in the comment section on tonight as we go forth on tonight. Listen, on tonight, we're going to deal with the reality of the topic is love is not abuse. Love is not abuse. Love is not abuse. Something disturbing happened last week when I was at a city council meeting, and I was talking to one of the people who run management of the apartments. And as they was running down the statistics in the apartment, they asked one of the sheriffs that were currently there, what is the crime rate? Hear me carefully. What is the crime rate statistics within this department? They said the majority of the crime rate in the apartment, nearly 85 to 90%, is domestic abuse. Put that again. It is domestic abuse. The crime rate highly is domestic abuse, which means most of the people that are engaging in these activities of crime is domestic abuse, which means that within the realm of relationship, there's a lot of mental, physical, and emotional abuse that is taking place that is becoming very toxic in relationship. The police officer said that 80% of his calls is domestic abuse. And on tonight, I want to really deal with the idea of what love is and how we can deal with that. Great. So we got it going on tonight. Here we go. All right. Now y'all rolling. I have married. I have dating. I have single. I have dating. All right. So we have a mixed crowd on tonight. We got some single people. We got some single people in the building. Single people. We got some, some people dating in the building. We got some married folk. All right. We got some dating in the building. All right. We got a good crowd tonight. We got a mixture of different people on tonight. So let's start here. Within the book, we have a relationship dictionary. Within the book, the opening chapter of the book, I write a relationship. That boy crazy. A relationship dictionary. And the word for tonight, the first word we want to analyze that I put in the book, relationship, is called lonelyship. It is called lonelyship. You're taking notes. It is called lonelyship. This relationship is based upon a person becoming fatigued from being alone. Once the individual confidence is restored and clarity is gained, this person will consider other options. This is lonelyship. Why did I put this in the book? Watch this. The premise is everyone does not get in a relationship based upon love, but sometimes people get in relationship based upon the baggage that they are currently dealing with. Sometimes when people engage in relationships or even marriage, hear me carefully, there are outside factors that contribute to the lens in which they view the relationship that they want to go into. Therefore, sometimes people will get into a marriage or relationship, here we go, lonelyship, because they have become tired of being alone. They have become fatigued with being alone. Therefore, they say, hear me carefully, I'd rather be with someone and be miserable than to be lonely. If you're single on tonight, if you catch me on tonight, you should never get into a relationship because you are fatigued, because you want to change your relationship status, because you are feeling upset about not having a date on Friday night. Hear me carefully. You should never go into a relationship because you are lonely. All right? You should never go into a relationship because you are lonely. Listen, because sometimes loneliness can lead you into ill decisions. When you are fatigued, when you are tired, hear me carefully, you make ill-advised decisions. Even if you go running and working out right now, when a person works out and they at their maximum capacity and they become tired or fatigued, if you play any sports, tennis, basketball, football, track, watch this, you don't run or you don't work out or you don't fight with the same initiative or capacity because you're now fatigued. And sometimes when you are single, you can become fatigued and then you lower your standards and then begin to accept things that you would not accept before because you are in a condition of lonelyship, right? If that makes sense, put in the comment, that makes sense. Therefore, because I'm lonely, I now become fatigued. People that I normally wouldn't entertain, I begin to entertain them. People who I wouldn't normally give my number, I begin to give them my number. People that I wouldn't normally find attractive, I now find them attractive because I'm in a lonely state and a condition, hear me carefully, because I'm now getting desperate and I'm desperate to take anything than to take the thing that is right for me. Thank you, brother. I see you. He said it makes sense. Good. Y'all let me know if it makes sense. I want to slow down. I want to make sense. Therefore, you cannot make decisions about your relationship status when you are lonely. All right? Because when you become fatigued, your standards now become rewired, or you watch this, you even lower your standards to take anything. So initially you say, I need them to have a job. Now you don't mind them not having a job. Initially you say they need to be, hear me carefully, they need to be in the same religious capacity I'm in, but now they're not even religious. You take anything. Hear me carefully. When you are fatigued and when you are lonely, that is the last thing you need to do is get in a relationship. When you're fatigued, when you're lonely, hear me carefully, that is the time that you should begin working on yourself. All right? In this season of loneliness, there should be some type of self-examination. All right? Ask yourself questions. Do I really want them, or I just want someone to fit the bill? Do I really want them, or my biological clock is ticking? Do I really want them, or I need to change my scenery? When you're in a state of loneliness, hear me carefully, you have to ask yourself all of these critical questions. Why am I really getting into this relationship? All right? Because watch what happens. Here we go. Because watch this, once a person gets out of the euphoria of loneliness or even sometimes depression, hear me carefully, the lonely individual confidence is restored and then clarity is gained. All right? And then once you come to your senses, you then will consider other options. Therefore, you can get an entanglement with the person that you really don't want to be with. And then once your confidence is restored, once your energy come back, once your vitality come back, you're now regretting that you fell in love or created a love situation that was off a mistake. Right? Let me know if I'm making sense. I don't want to talk fast tonight. Hear me carefully. Because once you get your faculties back together you have to do this. Watch this. Once you get your faculties back together, you'll then start questioning yourself, why am I even with this person? It's not even my type. This not even my flavor. They don't even meet any of the metrics or standard, but because, watch this, I got them in a season of loneliness, I'm now paying for in a season of confidence. All right. So I'm talking to some people on tonight. If you are single and you are lonely, do not make rash decisions, but think through your decisions and say, is this something that I really wanted to partake into? It is something really I wanted to engage into, because in this season, I cannot get into a lonely ship that's going to cause me trouble for my next season. That's the word we got to get on tonight. Lonely ship. Now notice, we have to look at this from this perspective. It is called a relationship because, as I put in the book, relationships only work when you're riding the same wave. All right. We call it relationships, which means just like a ship, just like a cargo boat, they're going to be seasons where they're going to be waves, they're going to be storms, they're going to be difficulties, but you have to have somebody on your relationship that's able to ride those waves with you. All right. You can never really understand the clarity or the level of your relationship until sometimes your ship or your boat or your relationship is in a storm. All right. So now we have to figure this out. I cannot find the authenticity of this relationship. I cannot find the vibrance of the relationship until we enter into a season where there is a storm. Therefore, when the storm happens, we must be on the same wave, because when we're on the same wave, then we're able to meet our destination together. All right. So on tonight, we got a couple of homeworks. You got to ask yourself. We got 3 different groups of people on tonight. To the single people, you have to ask yourself, whoever I'm connected to, whoever I'm dating, whoever's riding this wave with me, do they have the capacity to go through the different storms of life and still survive them, and we're able to get to our destination, right? There's no relationship in this earth realm that survived a long tenure of time that did not learn how to survive storms. You have to learn how to survive storms together. But the reality of it is, more people hop ship when the storm or the turbulence hit. It gets uncomfortable. This is when you have to come together and say, what is our goal? What is our focus? What is our aim? What are we going forth to that's going to get us to this next level? On tonight, single people that's on, you got to do a couple of homeworks on tonight. You have to ask yourself, what is my original motive for getting into this relationship? What is my original aim for getting into this relationship? Am I content with being single, or am I trying to get into a relationship or a marriage for other alternative motives or reason that the person I'm connected to has no idea that's why I'm doing it? Relationships can become very damaging or dangerous. Hear me carefully. If one person is getting into it because of love and sacrifice, and the other person is getting into it because of motives that has not been articulated, you're going to be on a collision course now. Hear me carefully. A collision course of chaos when you're with someone that you're looking for love and sacrifice, and they have ulterior motives. If that makes sense, let me know on tonight. I got an interesting quote on tonight that I read that it is beautiful, by Paul Tillich. I'm putting on the screen for you. And he says something amazing about on the screen. He says the first duty of love is to listen. The first duty of love is to listen. One of the key components we have to observe on tonight when we're dealing with love, we have to have the ability and the capacity not just to articulate how we feel, but we must have the ability and capacity in relationships. Hear me carefully. The first duty is to learn how to listen. If you want a relationship to survive, you have to learn how to listen. If you want a relationship to be demolished, you need to learn how not to listen. Let me say it again. If you want your relationship to survive, you have to learn how to listen. If you want your relationship to be demolished, you need to learn how not to listen. One of the love languages that we don't talk about, that we have to add to it, is a love language of listening. Am I hearing what you have to say, or am I sitting processing the information to create a comeback? Am I really ascertaining what you're saying because I want to hear what you're saying to fix it, to make it right? Or am I listening to the degree of I'm trying to create a rebuttal for the information that you're giving? You cannot love a person properly if you don't learn how to listen. Many people have good communication skills, but they have poor listening skills. So what did I say? Not what you felt that I said. You have to learn how to listen, because oftentimes we fall in communication. Hear me carefully. We fall in communication because we're not learning to listen. What is this person actually saying? Are you able to know your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever you're in partnership with? Are you able to understand their language and the cadence of their language? Everyone's language is different than other people's language. Therefore, when they talk, are you actually ascertaining what they're saying, or are you thinking about how can I retort their conversation? You have to learn to listen, because here we go. We about to transition into it. Most situations become violent. Most situations become domestic. Most situations become cantankerous because we have not learned to listen to each other. Right? Here we go. Single people, married and divorced, those seeking marriage. Here we go. Listen, your answer is in the communication with your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and not outside of that communication. Many of us struggle. Many of us have problems. Hear me carefully, because we get third parties involved in the communication when the communication should be simply within the two people involved. You should not be seeking the information from people outside of the relationship when the person in the relationship is articulating to you what they need, what they want, what they desire. So it's not your job to take their information, go to a third party who may be biased about your relationship anyway, which can cause more conflict and trials. But when your person is articulating the issues that they have, hear me carefully, it is your job to become a personal investigator and love them so much that you're willing to listen. If I'm making sense, let me know if I'm making sense on tonight. What does that mean? I'm willing to take out my time to listen, even if I don't understand. I'm willing to take my time out to listen, even if I don't agree. I'm taking my time out to listen, even if we have a different thought process. I'm taking out my time to listen, even if your language is confusion. But because I love you so much, hear me carefully, I have to slow down and hear what you are saying to me. All right? Some of our relationships are imploding because we refuse to listen to what each other is saying. Now, listen, appreciate it. I think they're on tonight. Thank you. Listening, hear me carefully. Listening is just not verbal, but some listening is non-verbal. I'm gonna say it again. If I'm making sense, y'all let me know on tonight. Y'all can put some comments in the comment section, ask questions too. Listening is just not verbal, but some listening is also non-verbal. Therefore, if you're in a relationship with your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, fiance, whoever you're connected to, therefore, sometimes they can have communication with you without even saying a word. That's why psychologists tell you that 70% of all language is non-verbal. 70% of all language is non-verbal. Therefore, sometimes you don't need to listen to what they are saying, but listen to what they are not saying. If the conversations are limited, you need to listen. If the body language is changing, you need to listen. If they're becoming very short with their words, you need to listen. If they're no longer engaging you in flattery conversation, you need to listen. If their dressing habits have changed, you need to listen. If they're no longer laughing at your jokes, you need to listen. If they're folding their arms, if they're sighing, if they're moving a different type of energy, you need to listen. Because sometimes your spouse or your relationship partner is communicating with you through silence, but you refuse to listen when your first duty of love is to listen. How can you say you love me, but you don't listen to me? How can you say you care about me, but my words don't matter anything to you? I want to slow down this train on tonight. I want to slow down the train, and I want some people to really think this through. Is your problem in your relationship that you are doing more talking than you are doing listening? Are you spending most of your time engaging in, I have to get this off my chest, but I'm not taking the time out to listen to what my significant other is saying to me? Some of you don't even know tonight that your relationship can be healed if you just learn to listen. Paul Tilly, the first duty of love is to listen. Thank you for those that just jumped on right now. Thank you for those that just jumped on right now. Press that like, press that share button. We're dealing with love. We're dealing with the topic of love is not abuse on tonight. Correct. Communication is so important. Your relationship will not work if you do not communicate. If you do not communicate, your relationship will not work. Thanks for those that just jumped on tonight. I appreciate you for joining us. Press that like, press that share button. Your relationship will not work. You have to learn to listen. Let's go further on tonight. Now, let's go even further on tonight. Love is not blind, but love creates healthy boundaries. I want to say it again. Love is not blind, but love creates healthy boundaries. All right. I'm about to say something different tonight. Y'all never heard on tonight. Love has eyes. All right. Love has eyes. If you're anything that's causing you to be blind, it is not love. Because love is responsible. If y'all don't mind, put in the comment section. Love is responsible. When I love you, I'm not blind to who you are or who I am in a relationship. Therefore, I have to make sound decisions. But love is responsible. And if I love you so much, watch this, I'm going to want the best for you, even if it does not benefit me. You cannot say you love someone, but you're irresponsible in your actions, your behavior, your thought process, and how you handle them. But love is responsible to the point it's not blind. Therefore, love should not make you cut someone out. Love should not make you abuse someone. Love should not make you stalk someone. Love should not make you harm anyone. Love should not make you, watch this, belittle anyone. Love should not make you controlling over anyone, because love is not blind, but love is responsible. And if you are an irresponsible person, you are not even at the level to say you love anybody. Many people throw the word around love loosely, not even understanding what love means. You cannot love anyone if you don't even understand self-sacrifice. It's about to get hard now. It's about to get hard now. Thank you. I got somebody paying attention tonight. Thank you, Ms. Lovely and Company. I'm trying tonight. Listen, if you're not responsible, you're not even qualified or responsible enough to even love someone. So now we throw around the word love loosely. I love them. They love me. I'm in love. This is ooh. Listen, are you responsible enough to even articulate a word that comes with actions? I'm going to say it again. Are you responsible enough to articulate a word that comes with actions? Because love is the only word that we so loosely say out of our mouth, but we're not mature enough to actually walk out what love is. All right. This is why one of the chapters, I put in one of the chapters called Love is an Action Word. Love is an action word because love is a verb. Love is a verb. Love is a verb. Put that in the comment section. Love is a verb. Love is a verb. It is an action word. You need to stop telling people, stop telling me that you love me. I need you to show that you love me. I'm going to say it again. Love is a verb. Stop telling me, watch this, stop telling me that you love me. Show me that you love me. Because at some point, your words are not matching your actions. And I need your actions and not your words, because your words can be released at any time to make a person feel good, but your action does not follow up with it. And because love is a verb, you need to stop investigating what people say, but you need to start analyzing what people do. All right? So love, hear me carefully, I put in the book, if love is a verb, no one has to ask you to marry her. I'm about to get in trouble tonight. I'm about to get in trouble tonight. I'm about to get in trouble tonight. If love is a verb, no one has to ask you or beg you to marry her. Because at some point, you have to have actions. No one should have to beg you to take care of your children. If there's love involved, that is action involved. When love is involved, no one has to ask you, hear me carefully, to take them out on a date or to forgive them. When love is involved, action is involved. The problem with many of us is, hear me carefully on tonight, we have confused love with lust. I'm about to put on the screen. I'm about to put on the screen. If I'm helping somebody, let me know I'm helping somebody on tonight. Thank you for the people that just jumped on. Press that like, press that share button on tonight. Press that like, press that share button. Tag somebody. Thank you. We have confused love with lust. Therefore, you are inundated with lust, but you think it's love. Because I put on the screen, love isn't blind, but lust is blind. I'm going to say it again. Love is not blind, but lust is blind. Therefore, when you're inundated with lust, hear me carefully, when you're inundated with lust, you make irrational decisions that are detrimental to your livelihood, but because love is not involved, put on the screen, you no longer have healthy boundaries. So when lust is involved, you're willing to risk your health. When lust is involved, you're willing to risk your life. When lust is involved, you're willing to go to jail over it. When lust is involved, you can't even sleep at night. When lust is involved, you're engaged in domestic abuse. When lust is involved, you're breaking windows and slicing tires and looking through phone. Because watch this, when lust is involved, it's irrational, which causes you to make irrational decisions. But when love is involved, you make sound decisions because love is responsible. You cannot say you love me, but you don't have any responsibility of handling my heart with care. All right? Hear me carefully. Hear me carefully on tonight. This is why even when you're selling items, even when you're selling delicate items, they put something on delicate items. They say fragile, handle with care. Hear me on tonight. Fragile, handle with care, because you have to be careful how you handle people's hearts. All right. Number two, you have to be careful about giving anyone access to your heart. I'm cooking now. I'm cooking with grease now. I'm cooking with grease now. I'm cooking with grease now. You have to be careful. Number one, who you give access to your heart. All right. Everyone should not have access to your heart. Many of us keep saying they broke my heart. It's because you gave your heart, hear me carefully, to an irresponsible person. So why would you expect an irresponsible person to handle your heart with care when they're not even responsible with their own affairs? Let me say it again. Why are you expecting an irresponsible person to handle your heart with care when they're irresponsible in their own life? Listen, you talking about they broke your heart. I can't believe they broke my heart. What's going on? They don't even take care of their own kids. They don't even pay their own bills on time. They have no health insurance, no life insurance. They don't manage their money correctly. They have no responsibility in their world of reality, but you want them to handle your heart with care when love is responsible and they are irresponsible. So you're requiring from a person something they cannot deliver because they don't even have the mental, the physical, or the emotional capacity to handle your heart with care because they are irresponsible. So we got to ask ourselves on tonight, for those who are single, if you are considering marriage, you got to ask yourself, is this a love situation or is it a lust situation? Is this love or lust? Am I inundated with their sexual performance? Am I inundated with the opulence of the different places they're taking me? Am I inundated with a lifestyle? Am I inundated with the material things that they're providing? Am I inundated with the optics of having a happy relationship when I'm really miserable? You have to ask yourself all of these questions. Is lust involved in the situation? Because lust can only take you so far if you're considering marriage. We got a lot of this coming. Yes, it is so important. It takes time to give someone your heart. You have to make sure that there's right time to give it. Correct. So listen. For those who are single, those who are considering getting marriage, engaged, or those who are going back to it, hear me carefully. I love the point that she made. I want to put this in there. Put this in the chat for those who are paying attention. Take your time. Take your time. Stop rushing down to the aisle when you have not done enough proper investigation. I'm going to say it again. Take your time. Stop rushing to the aisle when you have not done a proper investigation. Do you really know them, or are you in love with the representative of who they really are? Do you really know them? Are you in love with the representative of who you are? You need to take your time. Ask yourself this: why am I rushing? Why am I rushing? Why am I so quick to get into a dress and take pictures and go on a honeymoon only to be divorced within a year later because I'm rushing into something when I have not considered all of the factors involved in it? Take your time. All right. Especially when you're single, you don't want to have a relationship to go backwards. What I call a circular relationship, a circle relationship. You don't want it to go backwards. What do I mean by that? There's some people who rush into a marriage, their marriage survive, but the first couple of years of their marriage is turmoil and chaos. Some survive, some do not, because they have not taken their time to get into marriage. So the years that they should be enjoying each other, they're not learning each other, which can lead to a divorce because they did not take their time. If you're going to get married, you want to do it the right way. Take your time. Why do we take our time when we are engaging in real estate, when we're engaging in entrepreneurship, when we're engaging in scholastic ideals? We take our time, we read the fine print, we make sure our credit is intact, we find the right location, we do the metrics and the study. But in relationships, we sign a sheet of paper without reading the fine print. Take your time. This is not a sprint. Marriage is a marathon and not a sprint, right? You have to make sure before I say I do to this person, and this is something that's spiritually ordained and God led. Is God involved in this, or am I involved in this based upon my own perception or what should be done? No one should force you into a marriage. No one should manipulate you to a marriage. No one should make you feel bad about getting married. No one should try to trick you into a marriage. But this has to be a sound decision where two consenting adults come together and say, this is what I'm seeking with inside the covenant of a marriage. And are you able to fulfill that? All right. So there's some people on tonight. If you're single, you got to ask yourself on tonight, what am I expecting from a marriage? What am I expecting for a marriage? For the single people on tonight, I want you to get in your head. What am I expecting from a marriage? For the married people, you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to do in this marriage to maintain it? What am I willing to do in this marriage to maintain it? Chapter number 8, keep up your maintenance. Keep up your maintenance. Therefore, many people are good at auditioning for the role of the marriage, but then once they get into the marriage, hear me carefully, then who they really are manifest. All right. So what happens sometimes, hear me carefully on tonight, many people marry the person who they was in the audition, but they never met the real character. All right. They fell in love with the representative at the audition, but they did not watch this. They did not understand the person who they were marrying was a character. And then once complacency sets in, a person pulls off of their mask, and now you're stuck with the character, but you fell in love with the person who was auditioning while y'all was dating. Therefore, when you're dating, you have to pay attention to stop signs, detours, U-turns, suspicious activity, unpeculiar behavior. How high is your level of discernment when you are dating? How high is your willing to listen and observe when you are dating? You cannot be so enamored with the physical opulence of a person that you forget the internal disturbance or the chaos that's going on. You have to take your time and observe what's going on in this person's life. What does their relationship look like with their mother? What does their relationship look like with their father? What is the tenure of marriages within a relationship? How do they manage money? How do they communicate? How do they view their mother, their father? How do they handle their kids? All of these, hear me carefully, all of these factors contributing to considering a marriage. You have to do your research before you get married. What is research? You have to research. I'm going to say it again. What is research? You have to research. You have to search and then research. You have to connect the dots of the person that you are talking to. All right. You have to, hear me carefully, you have to take out the time to say, if I'm willing to invest a ring into this person, am I willing to take vows with this person? Do I really know what I'm getting myself into? Watch this. The purpose of this book, hear me carefully, is to break the mentality of that everybody is ordained or everybody should be married, or they have to get married, or that everyone is marriage material. Hear me carefully. Some people are not marriage material, and that's okay. You have to know who you are and what you're willing to put up with or not put up with. Some people are not marriage material. I love that quote. Yes. You have to date with a purpose. Ask the right questions. Chapter number 1. Dating is just an interview. While you are dating is a time for you to interview the person that you're with, not stalk them, not make them feel uncomfortable, but it's a time period in which while you're dating, I have to ask questions about who I'm getting connected to. You have to date with a purpose and not date with being just bored. Many people date with no aim, no goal, no ambition. If you're dating with a purpose, then you'll be able, hear me carefully, to hew down on the pool that you're trying to connect to. All right? Hear me carefully. So let's use this analogy, and we're almost done. Yes, I love it. Date with a purpose. Let's deal with that. Ask right questions. Ask hard questions. Pay attention to what's not being said. On one of the previous teachings, for those that just jumped on and never heard me teach about it, I taught about that there are lessons in silence. Sometimes it's not what a person is saying. Sometimes it's what a person is not saying. What are they avoiding? What are they refusing to address? What are they stuttering about? Why are the dots not connecting? All of these are data points that should be going through your membrane to say, hey, this doesn't make sense. This does make sense. You have to connect the dots. When you date with a purpose, look like this, and I'm almost done. Y'all a great class tonight. When you date with a purpose, it is like this. Whenever a person goes shopping or eating or looking for a car, if they do not know in particular what they want, they can spend a lot of time aimlessly, wasted time, wasted energy, wasted money, looking for something that they want, but they really don't know what they want. Therefore, sometimes you could be connected with someone, particularly with women. Women are worse at this tonight. Y'all don't get in trouble with me tonight. Women are worse at this. You can ask a woman, what do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? And a woman will tell you, I don't know. But initially, she says she is hungry. Now, the woman said she's hungry. Well, for the next 20 minutes, you ask her, what does she want to eat? And she's telling you, you don't know. So you could be riding your car up and down the street, passing restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, wasting time and gas. Why? Because I'm connected to someone who has an appetite that knows they want something, but they have not taken the time to sit out and pick what they actually want. So now you're upset with your boyfriend. Now you're upset with your girlfriend. Now you're upset in this whole situation because you told me you want something to eat. And now I ask you what you want to eat, and you're telling me you do not know. Now we wasted time, we wasted gas, we wasted energy. And then finally, when we get to a place that you claim you want to eat, you sit in the car and then say, I don't know if I really want this. We wasted time, we wasted gas, we wasted energy, we wasted all of this time dealing with you because you have an appetite, but you have not taken out the time to properly identify what you want. Hear me carefully on tonight. This analogy of women trying to figure out what they want to eat is applicable in relationships because many people spend time, money, energy, wasted time that you can never get back because you have an appetite for a relationship, but you have not sit down with yourself to properly identify what you want. Therefore, you end up participate in a relationship, watch this, that fulfills your appetite temporarily, but in the long term, you're not fulfilled because you was willing to accept anything instead of sitting down and identifying what you actually wanted. If you are single, you have to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what do I want? What's the height? What's the weight? What's the shape? What's the educational status? What is their religious status? What is their cultural status? How do they conduct themselves? How many kids do they have? What is their credit score? What is their background? How do they talk to me? How do they relate to my kids? How are they intellectually? How are they spiritually? How are they with their parents? All of these questions, you have to sit with yourself and ask yourself, what do I want? Not what do other people want for me? Because you can be grown and make a bad decision based upon what other people want for me. So now your mother, your father's putting pressure on you. You're near 30 now. You educated. You're opulently living. You have a well-respected name. You don't have any children. You haven't been married. They're putting pressure on you. Where my grandkids at? You cannot make a decision in marriage based upon the opinions of other people. Hear me carefully, because you have to make a decision in your marriage because you're the only one that's going to hold your marriage together. Here we go. I like this. Sometimes being picky is a good thing. We often find comfort in uncomfortable relationships, and that just causes correct. Listen, you don't have to be ashamed of being picky. But listen, and when I say picky, I don't mean unrealistic. Say it again. There's nothing wrong with being picky, but don't be unrealistic. All right? I'm not telling you that you're going to find the baddest person in the world, the top 1% of making money, the most of everything marked out that you want. You cannot lose out on a good thing because you say, I met a man that has all of these things, but he doesn't make $500,000 a year. He makes 80. You have to use wisdom. Don't miss out on a good thing because you're used to having a buffet mentality and not used to having an entree. Some of us have buffet mentalities because we want it all, but we don't understand the exclusivity of having one thing that can feed you at all times. Let me give you this metric on tonight. I'm almost done. Thanks for y'all jumping on. Press that like, press that share button. Glad to see y'all on tonight. We definitely have to look at how the person looking on the inside or dressing that you see them and dressed in on the outside. Just because a person look good, that doesn't mean they are. I love that. I love that. I love that. We have to, in other words, we have to, and it's a point I'm making in the book that talks about, I love what she put it, she talks about looks. We have to sometimes in relationship look at it from this metric. If you take your car to the shop right now, even if your car cranks up every time, even if your car drives efficiently in your mind, if you take your car to the mechanic right now, they're going to do something called a diagnostic test. They're going to do something called a diagnostic test. Hear me carefully. And a diagnostic test gives you the ability to see what's wrong with your car because you can't see everything that's wrong with the car. All right? They're going to give you a diagnostic test. Hear me carefully. In the diagnostic test, they're going to list a lot of things that are internally going on with your car, even though your car may be a smart car, even though your car may be a luxury car, even though your car may be a foreign car. It may be working from point A to point B, but your diagnostic test will tell you what's going on with inside of the car, even if you cannot see it. All right? So when you're dating, the problem with many of us is because we don't ask questions, because we don't listen, because we refuse to go to counseling. Hear me carefully. We don't even get the chance to partake in a diagnostic test because we're only looking at the outside of the car, but you have no idea that your car is close to an engine failure. You have no idea that your spark plugs have been worn out. You have no idea that your radiator is eroding. You're only concerned with lips, hips, and fingertips. You're only concerned with biceps, triceps, and abs. You have not taken out your time to peel back the wrapping paper and identify the heart condition of the person. And listen, looks are good in dating, but looks will not help you when you're married. I'm telling you, let me say it again. I'm going to say that slowly again. Looks are beneficial when you're dating, but they're not helpful when you're married. What happens if that person loses a job? What happens if that person gets sick? What happens if that person gains weight? What happened if that person is in an accident that disfigures their shape or their face? Hear me carefully. Now, this is when love steps in. See, love steps in when lust steps out. I'm going to say it again. Thank you for the people that jumped on tonight. Thank you so much. Press that like, press that share button. Love steps in and then lust steps out. See, lust, think about lust. I'm trying to help you. While I learned about lust, lust always has an expiration date. Lust always has an expiration date. What does that mean? At some point, lust is always going to exit the building. And when lust leaves, that's when love shows up. Can I love you when your financial status changes? Can I love you when you gain weight? Can I love you when you are sick? Can I love you out of an accident? Listen, you never know the fabric of your relationship until you're in conditions when that fabric is tested. You have to understand that many of us are missing, watch this, we are missing many blessings, but also many of us are causing many burdens because we refuse to look at the diagnostic test. And there are people who believe in different things that are on here. Because I know everybody on here is not a believer. But listen, God gives you something called intuition. That's your diagnostic test. For believers, God gives you prayer. He gives you fasting. He gives you discernment. This is your internal diagnostic test that gives you the ability to discern, who am I really getting connected to? Who am I really, watch this, about to fall in love with? Because the problem is, we climb this tree trying to seek this love, and the whole time is nothing but lust. And then when time hard hits, the person that said, I love you, I never was going to leave you, I'm always going to be connected to you. Hear me carefully. These same individuals are the first one to walk out because, as I said earlier, love is responsible. And if you are not responsible, you cannot handle another person's heart. You have to be in a position of being responsible to be able to handle someone else's heart. So I'm going to leave on this thought on tonight. So if love is a verb, we have to be responsible, not just our words, but we also have to be responsible with our actions. Are your actions lining up with the words that are you rendering, or are you just saying things that sound good in the moment, knowing you have no intention of fulfilling your obligation? This is why I say chapter number 2, lying at the altar, chapter number 2, because many people, they get up in front of the crowd, they get up in front of the church, they get up in front of the clergy, and they make vows about things that they know that they're not going to fulfill. Can you love me in sickness and in health? Can you love me in richer and for poor? Can you love me in better and for worse? Can you love me till, watch this, not to debt do us apart? Not because you lost money, not because your FICO score changed, not because you can't take me around the country 365, not until debt, DEBT, but until death do us apart. Have you even considered what the vows are saying when you are saying them? Because how can you say for better or for worse, and then when it gets worse, you step out? How can you say for richer or for poor, then once their financial status change, you step out? How can you say in sickness and in health, and then when health changes, you step out? Because many of us are articulating vows at the altar, hear me carefully, that sounds good in front of a crowd that we're not willing to live once the crowd leaves. So now weddings, here we go. Y'all don't want to hear it on today because I did many of them. Now weddings have become a show. It has become a big feature presentation where many of the caterers getting wealthy and the musicians, but we have no idea what we're stepping ourselves into. Have you considered the vows that you are saying? Have you considered, hear me carefully, that if we get to our worst or worst, am I willing to stand here and be with you? There we go. There we go. Not till death do us part. Listen. Single people, married people, those seeking marriage. Hear me carefully. This is a problem with our generation. Our generation definition or idea of love is how comfortable can you make me? I'm going to say it again. Thanks for those that jumped on tonight. I see some new faces. Thank you so much. Press that like, press that share button. Listen, our idea of love in this generation, not everyone, the majority is, how comfortable can you make me? Where is your zip code? What is your tax bracket? Can you travel with me? How are we so willing to go travel with people that we don't even know personally? Money is not going to maintain your marriage. It can help in a marriage, but it will not maintain a marriage. If you do not have the character to maintain within a marriage, as my brother put on the screen, I said earlier, it will be until death do us apart and not death do us apart. So now many people, they are jumping into relationships now for a financial situation. How can this help my career? How can this help my lifestyle? How can it change how I've been living? And not considering that you can have all the money in the world. I've counseled these people. I've counseled people that have 5 times more money than me, and they are miserable because they did not take out the time to understand what marriage meant. Marriage is not about convenience, but marriage is about inconvenience. Marriage is not about being selfish, but marriage is about being not selfish. Marriage is not about taking, but marriage is about giving. Marriage is not about me getting my way, But marriage is about how can I help you find your way. Marriage is not about I need to say what I feel while you don't say anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. Marriage is a give and take situation. It is back in the day. I'm gonna give some analogy. I'm on back in the day, many of you back in the day, on the playground back in the day, especially people that grew up in the hood back in the day, marriage is the same way. Back in the day at the playground, they had something called seesaw. They had something called seesaws back in the day. And on the seesaws, hear me careful, on the seesaws, they had two people that was able to sit on the seesaw. Only two people can sit on the seesaw. Only two. And many of you don't know what I'm talking about. Go back and look on Google because I don't know if many of you had back in the day. But on a seesaw, only two people can sit on the seesaw. One on the left, one on the right. Hear me carefully. And this was the balancing act of a seesaw. This is my last analogy and I'm done about love. On the seesaw, you always start off on a balanced playing field. Both person is sitting at even level looking at each other. Both people are looking at each other on an even level on a seesaw. That's how it starts out. But hear me carefully. But you can never be on a seesaw together where both persons involved or people involved are on the same level. So if I'm on a seesaw, hear me carefully. If I want my partner on the seesaw to go high, I must be willing to sit down low. And then if they want me to go low, then I have to be willing to sit up high as they go low. Seesaw is a balancing act which says, hear me carefully, the only way this relationship is going to work is that when you take, I must be willing to give. And when I give, you must be willing to take. It must be a balancing act because both people cannot be up high if the other person is not willing to go low. It is a balancing act because we have to balance each other in this relationship in order for it to work. Many relationships are falling apart because many of us, we do not want to operate in a seesaw capacity. Many of us want to be on the same level. Watch what happens. And when people on a seesaw on the same level, it means that their relationships are not going anywhere. It's stagnant. It's not moving. It is just sitting there. You have to have, she put on the screen, I was just about to say it, you have to have balance in your relationship. Where I am weak, they are strong. Where I lack, they have sufficient funds. What I don't know, they can give me information about it. Where I am competent, they are educated about it. What I cannot figure out, they can help me figure out. It is a balancing act. And the worst thing you can ever do in being single or even being married is being connected to someone. The only thing they do is take. Because at some point, when you're with someone that only takes, you are going to be in a situation where your relationship is not going anywhere and you're going to be stagnant. You have to have balance in your relationships. Because here we go. Love is not blind, but love creates healthy boundaries. Thank you for tonight. I pray that this teaching on tonight helps someone on tonight. I pray that the teaching bless someone on tonight. I pray that this teaching stretch your mind, stretch your thinking, put you in a different perspective. I want you to have a healthy relationship that is based in reality and not fiction narratives. As I put on the screen, as we open up the book, and this I'm done, I put on the screen some of the largest searches on IG right now are wedding dresses, wedding cakes, wedding photography, wedding hair. All of these things has nothing to do with a marriage, because you can have the greatest wedding in the planet Earth and have the worst marriage ever put together, because a wedding is nothing but a commercial and the marriage is real life. We need to put more energy into the marriage and not the wedding, because it's the reality. The same people that showed up to your wedding ceremony, taking pictures, dancing, smiling, eating up food, when you get divorced, those people are not coming to the divorce course. I'm a pastor, a preacher. I've been counseling for years now. I never heard anyone sending out invitations for them to go down to the Fulton courthouse to come to their divorce proceeding. Because watch this, many of us are enamored with the optics of marriage, but we're not really concerned with actually being married. We have to put more energy in our marriages in order for us to have a healthy lifestyle. Listen, because when your marriage falls apart, it not only affects you, but it affects the whole community, because your children are affected, families are affected, the psychological, emotional affairs of everyone connected to the family is affected. This is why the book says marriage is not for everyone. If marriage is not for you, that's fine. If marriage is for you, you have to do your homework and be diligent about how you want to engage in the marriage. Before we go tonight, I'm going to do this like we do every week. Before we go on tonight, we call this a counseling moment. If you have any questions, any comments, any concern, any dialogue that you want to engage into, before I go, put it in the comment section. Thank you for everyone that jumped on tonight. We're here next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Please join us next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Let someone know that we're on here. And if it's your first time, or if you got on here before, if you don't mind, after this broadcast, press that like, press that share button, send it to someone that you have enjoyed the teaching on tonight. We want to make sure that you're healthy and whole in your relationship. If you have any comments or any questions on tonight that you want to engage into before we get off, I would love to engage into you on tonight. And I pray that something was said on tonight that change your mind, change your spirit, change your heart about relationships. We want to make sure that we're creating healthy relationships, healthy marriages, healthy families, which creates healthy communities, but ultimately also create healthy nations. Everything that is going on today starts at the home, and we have to be more diligent and wise in the decisions that we make before we engage in marriages. So if you're single, you're divorced, even married, seeking something on tonight, put in the comment section, or even if you want me to pray for you about your relationship status, I don't mind doing that even on tonight. But I want to make sure on tonight that you have a healthy relationship going forward. If you have not grabbed a copy of the book, it's www.kkhbook.com, www.kkhbooks.com, and it will blow your socks off. I've got reviews even last week. A couple of married couples are actually reading it together at nighttime together. This husband and wife called me. They've been fighting over the book, and that is beautiful. I'm going to get to that question when we come back. You got any more questions, drop them in the comment section. I'm going to get to that question when I come back, and I'm going to drop this video. Marriage is not for everyone. We're going to get that question going, and we'll be done.
Did you know that over 50% of marriages start at the altar but end up in the courtroom? Hi, my name is Casey Hamilton, the author of Marriage is Not for Everyone. In this book, I detail that some people should stay single, others should get married, and some people should never get married again. Please grab a copy of this book. I would rather for you to spend $10 on this book than spend $10,000 on alimony.
All right. Thank you. We got a couple. I'm going to pray for someone's marriage, and also we got a question coming. You got any questions and comments on tonight? You want to jump in? I would love to send this to someone on tonight that can help you. Or you tell someone who feels like time is running out on them getting married. Great question. We spoke on this earlier for those who jumped on later. Listen, as I said earlier, when you're going into marriage, because it's such a serious institution, because it's such a serious commitment, you cannot look at your time clock concerning marriage. One of the worst things you can do, as we stated earlier, is make an irrational or a rash decision about marriage. Marriage must be done in a serendipitous time, which means it has to be divinely orchestrated, divinely done at the right time to get the best results. I know it may be hard. I know it may be uncomfortable, but you do not want to rush into a scenario that's going to have lingering and long-term effects. There are many people who jump into marriages, and then once they get married, they have effects, hear me carefully, in some situations that cannot be erased, that cannot be removed, they have to deal with for the rest of their life. So in this season, for those who are seeking marriage, but they feel like time is running out, two things you can do. Number one, continue to improve the personhood of yourself. What do I need to do in this season, hear me carefully, that can improve my, watch this, my marriage availability, but also too, once I get married, to help my marriage become more proficient. What can I do in this season? Hear me carefully. That is going to help me become more marketable, even in the dating scene. All right. All of us has areas of our lives that we can improve on. And then lastly, as I put in the book, the question I posed, if you were you, would you marry you? I'm going to say it again. If you were you, would you marry you? What you mean by that? Hear me carefully. If you had an out-of-body experience and you saw yourself in the marketplace and you saw who you were, would you put a ring on yourself? Would you marry yourself? Will you be in commitment with yourself? If you are hesitant or you're thinking twice about it, then that means you have work to do. All right. Any more questions before I pray for Sister Heron on tonight? I want to pray for her marriage on tonight. I want to pray for everyone on tonight. I also, too, want to pray that you have a blessed week, a blessed night. I pray that you just have a blessed week. I just want to pray for you, or even in the comments on tonight. Thank you for those who continue to support this broadcast. Thank you for those who've been sharing this broadcast. I thank you so much. I do not take it for granted. I want to pray with Ms. Heron on tonight. God, I pray right now that you will cover her marriage with your supernatural anointing and your power. I pray that you will breathe upon her marriage once again. I pray that vitality and life and conviction and love is returned into this marriage. I pray right now, God, that you will breathe into them something new and something afresh. I pray that the sparkle of the eye will return. I pray that the communication will increase. I even pray right now for supernatural dreams that will bring them back together again. I pray right now, God, that you will cover their marriage. I pray right now that you will cover their home. I pray right now that you will cover their children. I pray right now that you will cover every aspect of her home life. I pray right now that conversation that needs to be had will be had. I pray right now that forgiveness shall take place. I pray right now, God, that they shall be healed in places that they are broken and weak. And I pray right now, God, you will shift their marriage to a place of love and to another level in them. I decree and declare right now that love shall be restored, and I rebuke any spirit of divorce, chaos, or confusion. But I pray right now by the hand of God that it shall be shifted back to its original intent, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. I thank you, God, for supernatural victory for this marriage. And I pray right now, God, that it shall be done in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for joining me on tonight. Pray that you have a great night. Have a great evening. This is another episode edition of Marriage is Not for Everyone. Next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. You never know who you might see on here. Marriage is not for everyone. We want to make sure we continue to keep people holistic in their relationship, but most importantly, that their lives will change because they made great decisions about who they're with. Marriage is not for everyone. www.kkhbook.com. Have a great night. The best is yet to come, and I pray that this week shall be prosperous for you like no week has ever been before. Have a good night, and thanks for those who are going to join on later. I thank you for the support that you continue to give. Have a blessed evening.